right, we got Chef Erin Wiley here today on the Abracadabra podcast. How you doing, Chef?
I'm doing great.
Well, I tell you what, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This is my first chef I've ever had on the podcast, so I'm excited about that. But if you don't mind, will you go ahead and introduce yourself to my listeners?
So my name is Chef Erin Wiley. I've been a professional chef for 20 years. I'll be 40 this year, so a long time. And I love it. I'm currently in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Now, are you at a particular restaurant? Or are you doing something on your own?
No, so I actually run 3 restaurants. We have 3 restaurants in a very old building downtown right on Front Street. So it's challenging for sure.
Gosh, 3 restaurants. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a job. And Wilmington's kind of a really cool, interesting place too, right?
Yeah, there's a university here. There's a lot of great food. Obviously, we're on the coast, and they film a lot of movies and shows here as well.
But
it's kind of like, I mean, it's getting really big, but it's, definitely got a beachy vibe. Like people go to interviews in flip flops,
Hey, that's my kind of interview.
Right.
Yeah, so, okay. Now everybody loves food. Let's be honest. Most people everybody I know love food. So, but what got you into wanting to be a chef? Where did it all start?
Well, I guess when I was 11, my mom had a baby, and my family is originally from California. And so we were always exposed to like different cultures of food. And my mom's a really great cook and baker. And so after she had my little brother, I just kind of started cooking at the house because she was working a little bit. And also that show, Great Chefs, which used to be on in like the 90s. You can't really find it anymore, but I always loved that. And so I just started really cooking at home for my family when I was a kid. There were definitely a lot of trial and error, that was for sure.
See, it seems like that's where it starts for like a lot of people, I guess, is at home and cooking. And it seems like that's where a lot of the great chefs, that's kind of what they say, So you started, but was it something you always knew this is what you wanted to do, or did you leave it and come back to it or something like that?
So I left it and came back. I went to college for a while. I was majoring in literature and cultural anthropology. And then I don't really know what made me start looking into it. I was probably about 19. Well, I started looking into culinary schools when I was about 13 or 15. And then I guess I just kind of forgot about it. And then I actually dropped out of college my last semester and took off to San Francisco to go to culinary school.
That is super cool. So you went to culinary school in San Francisco?
I did, yeah.
Oh my God, that's super cool. Super cool. Now, and you said you were originally from California. Was that the part where you were from?
Not really. So my mom is born and raised in LA. I was born in Long Beach, and my dad is born and raised in Sacramento. So all of my mom's family is still in LA, and all of my dad's family is mostly in the Bay Area. So I did have a little bit of a support system there. I moved there when I was 20, I think. Yeah.
Well, first of all, my wife Antoinette grew up in Long Beach area.
Oh, really?
Out there. So yeah. That's I've never been, but eventually we're going to go. We're going to go back out there. And I would love to go to San Francisco too, just to go see it. I bet that was awesome learning how to cook out there.
Yeah, I had actually, as a kid, we would go vacation in LA, but when I moved to San Francisco, that was my first time in Northern California. So slight culture shock, I guess, coming from Oak Ridge. But, I always like to say that I have a California mentality, but Southern tendencies. So it really wasn't too much of an adjustment for me because I grew up with a lot more exposure to cultures and craziness than most people would probably get because my parents were from out there.
And what's also super cool is, well, first of all, for you guys listening, Erin, I think you went to the same high school I went to, right? Yeah. Oak Ridge High School. So Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And also for you guys that aren't familiar with Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the one good thing about Oak Ridge is it's an educated town.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a little more, no offense if you're not in Oak Ridge or anywhere around, but I'm just saying it's a little different, just a little different. But that's cool though. So San Francisco culinary school, how do they start you out though? I mean, do they just,
Well, I kind of skipped a step because I actually worked at Sonic all through high school. And so I worked there for a long time. And that was before they took debit cards. So, I made we made really good money. I made better money than my friends that were servers. So I ended up cooking there a lot. And I think that that's probably what got me into it. And then I ended up getting a job on a dude ranch in Burnsville, North Carolina, which is outside of Asheville. And I was there for a year, and half of the year during the winter when they were closed, I took care of like 100 head of horses. And then when we opened back up, I actually was the sous chef in the kitchen. So those two were really kind of my first exposures to the industry. I mean, that was family style. It wasn't anything crazy, but I guess that's probably why when I moved back and got back in college that I decided it was something I wanted to do.
It's so crazy the way, like, especially life, when you think about it, the journey, the path that you take to get to a place. And then, we always think about the destination, but the journey is so, so important, So, and how long normally is culinary school? How long do you usually go? What is it? A year?
It just depends. So I went to the Cordon Bleu, which is obviously based in Paris. There's a couple all over the country. And that was a year program. There's some other ones that have 2-year programs, but you're looking at a minimum of a year.
Okay, cool. So did you hang around out there in San Francisco any before you came back?
So part of getting your diploma from there, you have to go on an externship. And so I had a teacher that was Chilean. He taught Foods of the Americas class, which is basically like all the Latin cuisine. So he picked my best friend and I and another guy in our class to go to our externship at the Hotel Portillo, which is in the Andes Mountains in the middle of nowhere, northeast of Santiago. And so we were actually there for 8 months. I think it's the second highest ski resort in the world. It's the number 3 ski resort in the world. When we were there, it was right prior to the Winter Olympics. So the teams from all over the world were training there. It was a lot of fun. And I don't ski. So I think, I did it one time and that was enough for me.
Now, okay. So have you ever been, so you've never been there before. This is like your first time ever like being there, right?
Yeah, in South America. I've been to Europe, but it was my first time in South America, and I would go back any day of the week.
Oh man. So, and you got to cook for all kinds of people, I bet.
Yeah. I mean, the kitchen was massive. I think there were like basically 3 restaurants in the main resort. Because we were Americans, we had full access to everything that the resort had to offer, while obviously the locals didn't.
Yeah.
I think there were like 50 people that worked in the kitchen at once. I mean, it was, I really didn't learn much. And, the Chileans are just amazing people. They're hilarious. They're so kind, and they're quite funny. They're big pranksters. So, I mean, really, they just kind of teased us and messed with us.
What kind of people? I need to go to Chile. It sounds like okay. Well, what is their cuisine like? What is their food like? What is?
Well, I think because we were at that resort and I didn't really get like too much exposure. I mean, obviously we'd go down to Santiago, or I spent a lot of time in Mendoza, Argentina, on our weekends off. But honestly, it's just really simple food. It's kind of like European, where everything shuts down like during siesta time, and they have, that's when they have their largest meal of the day. They go home and have a cup of tea. But really just kind of peasant food. They love hot dogs and French fries and chicken, a lot of seafood, but nothing that crazy, but obviously very good.
First of all, okay, I'll never forget when I first learned, like, is it Italy, or I can't think right off the top of my head which European country it is, but basically like around lunchtime, everything's closed because they're at home eating with their family with this big giant meal.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. Like America would lose their damn minds if we did
Wouldn't
that
it be
here.
nice though? I
It
know.
would be awesome though. It would be awesome. Well, one thing, okay, my wife's Filipino and my palate has changed so drastically within the 20 something years we've been together, been married.
I love Filipino food. I do it a lot at the restaurant.
Well, see, I love it. Lumpia is my favorite type of egg roll,
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
but I mean, things have changed and, there's things that I eat. Now, we'll be honest with you, this is weird. I find this weird is that like, I always like make fun of like, white people got to eat fried rice all the time. But you know what I like? I like plain jasmine steamed rice.
Yeah.
And before I always had to have my crap fried but now, I think it's just being around Filipinos for 20 years. I got to have that steamed rice, baby. That's the stuff.
I think, with all my studies and exposure and research, pretty much daily, I've noticed that the older I've gotten, the more simplified my palate has become. Like these days, like just give me a cheese pizza. Like I don't need all that other stuff on it,
Maybe that's it too. It could be, as you get older, because there are some things that I'm just like, I don't want all that craziness,
Become maybe more of a purist,
One thing I'm a real purist on this. Okay. Now I'm not one of these cheesecake kind of nuts. I'm not crazy about cheesecake, but I eat it because it's cheesecake. But I don't like cheesecake when they put like a bunch of like Oreos and just all this craziness on top of it. I'm like, it don't really, to me, I'm like, there's just too much going on there.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Cheesecake Factory?
I have been to the Cheesecake Factory. I have
That's
been.
insane.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Like a 20-page menu.
Yeah, oh, I know. I used to actually tell an old joke about that in my show years ago. But yeah, it's just, a little overwhelming. Now, let me ask you that then, because that's an interesting topic. Because I've heard, like, okay, you get a lot of people who open up a lot of mom and pop type restaurants, and you've got the school of thought when they look at the menu that keep it simple, not a whole too many things on the menu, and specialize in what you specialize in. But then you've got places like Cheesecake Factory that'll have everything, and the kitchen sink on there. So what's your opinion on that, on a menu?
Well, I obviously it works for them, but they're trying to appeal to the masses. Me personally, I think it's better to have, my background is coming from restaurants where if the menu didn't change every day, it changed every week. It was a smaller menu. Everything was, working with a lot of local farmers, like fresh. There's certain like things that I go to restaurants if I see that I won't like. And it's funny because with myself being a chef, when other people cook for me, they're always very nervous. And honestly, like I'm just happy to not be cooking. And that like investigative, like, thinking cap part of my brain when somebody else is cooking for me is turned off. But now if I'm paying for it, like I'm certainly critiquing it, but I don't even think like that when somebody's cooking for me. So it's always funny because everybody gets so nervous, but it's not, I'm just happy to not be doing it for once.
That's probably, now, do you cook a lot at home, or is it because I'll be honest with you, I'll be completely honest with you. If I'm out with my friends or I'm doing something, they know better. They never say, "Hey, Danny, can you do this for so-and-so? Or can you do something for, show them a magic trick or, and no,
right.
No, dude, no, I do not want to do that.
So my husband is actually a chef and we have a 3-year-old at home. And he stays home with her full time. So he does most of the cooking. I cook at home? Yes, but not, maybe like once a week. But, I think people think that chefs have like, they eat the best food and like, it's simply not the case. I work 60 hours a week and, most of the times, I'm just like grabbing a hot dog or a slice of pizza, and being around food all day, like it makes you kind of really, it's fun to make and taste it, but it just kind of makes it makes me not hungry a lot, you know?
That's yeah, I could. Well, you know what's interesting is like, a lot of people will think that they'll say, "Hey Danny, have you seen so and so's new comedy special, or have you seen did you watch Penn and Teller Fool Us?" No,
Yeah.
I don't, and I hardly ever watch something like that on television. I don't watch it. So
Yeah.
I kind of get where you're going there.
Yeah.
But now also let me ask this, because I was thinking, I was like, there's something about cooking for total strangers, which is familiar to kind of like what I do. I perform for total strangers, and it's almost like I'm seeking their acceptance and their judgment of what I'm giving them.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same thing that you do by preparing food and cooking for food. Was that ever something like a hurdle or something that you had to get comfortable with? Because it is a judgment. It's a judgment right off the bat.
No, I never felt that way, but I think I'll never forget. I have a buddy that's kind of like a big time chef in Portland now. And when he started at the restaurant that I worked at in San Francisco, this little like awesome neighborhood place called Firefly, when he started, I was like, so what's wrong with you? Because I think you have to have a type of personality to do this and do it well professionally. And it's obviously a lot different with me being a biracial woman and being in the South. So it's a lot different, but he always teases me that I asked what was wrong with him, because I think you have to be a sort of masochist. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like there's some part of you that's like looking for acceptance. And it's also, I'm like a big procrastinator in real life. And it's so funny because I've chosen a career that I cannot procrastinate in. Like it's just not going to work, so it definitely keeps me on my toes. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. There's something there that just, you're looking for some sort of acceptance.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're putting, this is your stuff, and you're saying, and eating, man, I mean, that is like, that's number one, probably of the two super cool things that we get to do as human beings.
Yeah.
I don't even got to say number two. We know what number two is, but number one, only one of those most people do in groups. I said most, but that's eating. But I mean, eating it's one of those things. And now you are a professional. That is what you do. What is your favorite dish to cook?
Man, I mean,
and I know that's like a cliche question that every chef probably gets asked.
It is. I'm so fortunate that I've been exposed to so many types of cuisine, being in San Francisco for as long as I was. So I have a good grasp on literally like 20 different cultures, cuisines, and I can bake and do desserts as well. A lot of chefs you meet will never do pastry. No, I can't make insane wedding cakes, but I can do some nice desserts. Honestly, I think my biggest passion though is Mexican food, like real Mexican food.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you being from California.
That's what I love. I mean, I could eat tacos any day. I make them 40 different ways. But I would say, and it's funny because I'm not working at a restaurant right now where I can do that type of food. But I'd say that that's my favorite.
Yeah, I think Mexican people have totally is like, what's the best of everything? That's our food. So
it's just so the processes, and I think that they don't. There's some famous chefs now that have like gotten a lot of credit for Mexican food, but I don't think, I think people when they think Mexican food, they think, like chips and queso and like a number 4 platter. Like it's so much more nuanced. It's a lot. It's, very difficult to make. It's all fresh. I have so much respect for the culture and the food, and I love spicy things. So I just think it's delicious.
I do too. And now I know people are starting to catch on now because I think actually some of the commercial places are starting to serve this. But years ago, me and Antoinette, we would even make our own, but tres leche cake.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
But let me say though, I also like the crap Mexican food too. So I'm not hating on that.
Oh yeah. No hating on the crap Mexican food. I love that too. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there is Mexican food though that is another level type Mexican food.
Yeah.
One thing that drives Antoinette crazy around here, it's so hard to find, unlike whenever she was in California, is good tamales.
Oh yeah.
And and I think she did find a person who was making them for a while, but it has been a while. But Antoinette used to, I think, she used to get them when she was a little girl out there, and she just craves good tamales. I like tamales too. I do like them too. They're good, but that's her big thing is the tamales.
Okay.
So now you said though, but 3 restaurants. What's the name of the restaurants?
So we have the Husk on the first floor, which is bar food. It's kind of like a really popular weekend hangout. Like a lot of college students. It's a big bar. We actually just did an awesome gay pride event and had a drag show. I know it was super cool. And on the second floor is a restaurant called Yosaki, which is Asian fusion and sushi bar. And they've actually been 15 years, and it's like insanely busy, super popular, like very hip. And then on the third floor is Dram and Morsel, which is small plates, like world cuisine, and that's kind of my baby. But due to COVID, we haven't opened back up yet because we were actually using the third floor for Yosaki seating because Yosaki is so busy. But we should be opening soon, and I can't wait for that.
So do you do sushi too? Do you know? Do you know?
Yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah. Damn.
I'm a little rusty now because I don't do it a lot. But I used to be. At one time, I was really good at it.
That is
It's
awesome.
It's a lot. The hardest part is the sushi menus. We have a big sushi menu, so I'm really slow now because I don't remember. I have a manager that runs a sushi bar. I'm a little embarrassed to say, so I'm not exactly sure what's in all the rolls these days. So that slows me down, but I do go out there and do some sushi with them occasionally when we're busy.
That is super cool. And you said you did a gay pride at which one?
Yeah. Well, it was like in the Husk courtyard. We have like a big courtyard outside, and there was like a drag show. And this is the second year we've done it. And obviously me coming from San Francisco, I love it, and I'm really, really proud of us for for putting that on.
Super cool. You know what, man? I think we're talking about different cultural food. I think gay people need their own food. We need to figure out, gay people, if you're listening, I want to hear the food. We need some gay food. That would be great.
I think they just probably eat really well, right?
I don't know. My son's gay, and he went back and forth on trying to be a vegetarian forever. And wow. I'm not vegetarian. I am not vegetarian. I don't knock anybody. Whatever you want to eat, dude, however you eat, whatever. Yeah. But I say, hey, man, we got these pointy teeth for a reason, bro. Give me that meat.
Yeah.
Look, what's your take on that? Honestly, how do you feel about like vegetarian, or there's even just people out there who only eat meat, So what do you think about these crazy diets?
Well, the food pyramid in the United States is so inaccurate because basically the beef industry and the dairy industry have paid off the government. So honestly, it's true.
True. It is true.
The most accurate food pyramid is the Mediterranean, which is like a lot of olive oils, nuts, lean proteins, vegetables. So, you're really supposed to eat red meat once a month. I don't think anybody in this country could say that they really eat red meat once a month.
Oh my God, no.
To each his own. I try to love everybody, not be judgmental. Not that it can't get annoying at times. But if you have a food allergy out there and you go to a restaurant, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be very happy to work with you, but make sure that you know your allergies. Like, ask if you have questions, certainly ask your server, because we never want to kill anyone or injure or make anyone sick. So, you just tend to get a lot of customers that say they're allergic to things that they're certainly not, like salt. Like, come on, nobody's allergic to salt. But
I used to say I'm allergic to broccoli. I used to be like, I'm allergic to broccoli. Don't put it in there.
Yeah.
Or I die. But I'm not allergic to broccoli.
If you have a food allergy, it's your responsibility to make sure that that you're communicating that to the kitchen. But I mean, whatever. I'm happy.
Whatever. I think me personally, I think, a balance of everything, is kind of what you need. And, everything in moderation. I really believe in that. Now, yeah, I think we all eat too much damn red meat. That is absolutely the truth.
And their cow parks are destroying the atmosphere.
There's all kinds of issues. And I love you stupid cows. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I love beef, but at the same time, we need a planet. So it's all crazy, but who knows? Who knows what'll happen? Let me ask you this then. Since we're on the topic, this is kind of interesting. You are a chef. What is your opinion about this lab-grown beef?
I mean, have you had some of it?
I haven't tried it.
I think a lot of my vegetarian friends, they say it weirds them out because it actually bleeds like meat when you cook it. So there's proteins that come out of it while it's cooking. It definitely tastes pretty close to the real thing, but I mean, I'm all for it. It's better for the planet. And I mean, why not?
I'm not saying I wouldn't try it.
I don't think it's full of as many chemicals as probably cows are pumped full of. So why not?
Well, this is how I would treat it. I would treat it like sausage, like hot dogs. I don't want to know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't want to know any of that. You know what I mean? Put it on there. If it tastes good, hey, I will eat it. I tell you what, for you, Chef Erin Wiley, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to cook a dish right here on the Abracadabra podcast just for you. Here we go. Okay. This is a special, special secret recipe. So hold on. Okay. Let's see. We're going to try this. I don't even know how this is going to work, but I got my bowl here. Let's see. We need some sugar right off the bat. Some sugar. All right. And let's see. We need an egg. Got an egg. Ugh. All right. Okay, we got that in there. We'll just put that whole thing in there. Hold on. We need here. We need this. Hold on. I can get the lid off. The beer. There we go. Just a little bit of beer. You mentioned this. We mentioned this. Some Zyrtec. We don't want any food allergies. So let me get the Zyrtec. Here we go.
Quite the concoction.
Get some Zyrtec in there. And in here, also don't tell anybody, but we put some of this stuff in here. You know what that is. Okay. There we go.
Okay. I didn't see anything.
And last but not least, okay, we need something with a little kick. Kick. Got a sock.
Okay.
All right. Now, I prefer, you can use any sock laying around the house, any sock at all. I mean, if you want maybe one from a marathon runner or something like that, it just gives it a little kick, just a little kick. Here we go. All right. Now we're going to cover it up. And now we need a magic word. Give us a magic word, Chef Wiley.
Shazam.
Shazam! Just like that. And now I think we've got it. Oh, it's ready. Yes, it is. My magic spaghetti. Right here. Yes. My magic spaghetti.
That looks delicious.
It is very delicious. We'll get you high, and I promise you cannot taste the sock.
Even better.
There we go. My magic spaghetti. Just for you, Chef Erin Wiley.
Thank you. Yay. Yay.
To listen to the rest of this episode, be sure to subscribe and follow the Abracadabra podcast wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And also, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button here on the Abracadabra podcast YouTube channel for more interesting content. Abracadabra.